now, just like I know we've talked about EVs before, the statistic is what 9% of cars sold are EVs because all the early adopters about it. There's no mainstream adoption. And I think that's where we are with the AI tools and apps. There's almost 10 new apps coming out every day. But when you really dig into it, if you really want it to work well, for example, if you were playing around with making, okay, you can personalize education. So you can create study guides for anybody. My kids go in high school, so I was great about it. But then if you had to personalize education, that study guide could be made into an audio, it could be made into a personalized video, micro learning. Is it possible? Absolutely. Everything I just said is possible. But
Right.
the kicker was it is expensive. If I want to create 1 minute of video, micro learning, personalized video for you, Balaji, it's going to cost me 3 minutes. I mean, 3 minutes, $3 minimum. And if you want
Right.
to add an AI avatar on top of it and build it and make the lips move, the cost is prohibitive. So to me, some of these big wins are going to happen when the cost drops down. I know multimodal is amazing. There are cost insensitive markets where it makes sense, but for it to get mainstream adoption, the prices have to come significantly. Something has to give for it to become more mainstream. So I'm glad the price is coming down. We encourage entrepreneurs to do more, but just me getting in there, knowing what's possible and how much it's costing, there is a disconnect.
There's definitely a disconnect. I think when we talk about cost, right? So with the GPT, we are doing text inference, right? Now when we are talking about multimodal, now we have other forms of information like audio, video, and imagery. Everything getting in there, they bloat the cost or the time or the compute, whatever you want to call it, right? You are absolutely right. I think the math doesn't work out for the masses yet, right? It's currently still in the case where it is a specific luxury industry or anybody who's willing to pay the cost to get the technology in their hands, type of a situation.
Agree. And I think that's where is we're not competing with. So I think the biggest takeaway from me from aha moment was it's not we are competing between chat GPT versus Claude versus a new E that came out of China, from China, the new model, open source model, great reviews. It's actually humans we are competing against because one of these things, if you had some questions about your homework, you can ask a human, pay 17 cents for answering the question in a colorful format like this, or through WhatsApp, a video chat, or even a simple video, versus now if I had to ask the same question, it could have cost me $4, right, to get a video input without any human involved. I have an avatar answering it. That's a big delta. 17 cents versus $2 to $3. Until that gets a more reasonable, it's not really going mainstream for some of these. I will consider more retrieval kind of information, right? It's not going to be that cheap. So I know we might get there someday, but I just want to at least caution that that's where we are right now.
Right, 100%. If you see the evolution, even the text-based like GPT 3.5 Turbo to GPT-4, if you do cost comparison, right, you will see GPT-4 is probably much better response or whatever you want to call it, but the cost is way higher. It's a order of magnitude higher. So leave alone GPT-5. Again, the larger we go, the larger information is processed, larger compression is done, and compute is spent. All that stuff boils down to cost, and it gets passed on to the customer, right? And yes, the intelligence is there. Now, are you going to use it day to day? Maybe not. Maybe you use it as a reference material. You just go ask it because it's so expensive. You can't just variate on it, type of thing. Um, yeah, you're right. I think more competition has to enter the market in the chip manufacturer. I think there's a lot of built-in costs here and energy costs, right?
Yeah.
And so many things in there.
And I think
Or
that's
maybe the
one of
model
the
becomes
couple of
smaller,
things we're going to
Rajni.
be.
I'm in the camp.
That is the
Let's
other
make
thing, right?
make it smaller. Get it to the edge device.
Models have to get smaller. We have to improve fine tuning and design small models for very specific activities. Right? The
Right.
point is, right, to your point, a large model you have to now what 120 billion plus parameters. Training it is expensive. You don't need all of that. It's like having a Ferrari to go shopping at a grocery store. You don't need a Ferrari,
Exactly.
right?
Take a bicycle.
So, or
Right.
what I'm saying? So it's great that I'm pretty sure there's enterprise products and things that need that kind of. I don't even see why you need the wealth of information. That breadth you don't need, but you might need the processing capabilities of that. But if you can narrow it to your point, a smaller model, fine tuned with specific skill set for it to go into healthcare. Even healthcare is such a broad topic. It could be healthcare diagnostics. It could be healthcare customer support. You have to get to that level where the cost might make sense, like the interaction. You don't have to be keep training. You fine tuned it. Now for this particular hospital it's going to be a lot of calls coming in for pediatricians, so what I'm saying, like it has to come to that level. So we'll I think in the next couple of episodes we'll kind of deep dive into both rag as well as fine tuning, where the models are useful. Today we're going to show a little bit of a demo about rag, but before, so I think this is not just for us. We are learning these things. It'll be great for the entrepreneurs to understand where the market is headed in a year or two, because playing around 10% utilization or 10% use cases is really not going to move the needle, right? So I think where we need to head to, and I know a lot of people are experimenting with it, would be great to cover those topics in the next few episodes.
100%. So one thing I would like to add to your point, it just came to me because I put in like a couple of decades in the telecom industry. So when you think about solutions like this, right, in telecom, you have this concept called least cost routing, right? Basically, it's a tiered. So depending on this, you do that and type of a pricing model, right? So maybe it's the future in the intermediate term is like a multiple models, a variety of prices, and there is a decision made. If I need this, because of the volume, I go to a cheaper model. If I need that, and because of the sensitivity or accuracy, I want to go to a pricey model. So there's kind of going to the user has to build this in their system where it hits it cost averages between the request, right? It's not going to be the same price for every kind of request. That's kind of that's your point, right? It's for commodity
Yeah.
things. Why go take a premium product, right? So